What's poppin', y'all? Man, it's kind of sad to see Stephen A. Smith go out like this, just getting repeatedly punked, pressed, and just the same energy. Even an ounce of the energy is not there. And this time it was by Alexis Ohanian. You're probably like, who the Alexis? Who? Is that an IG model? No, Alexis Ohanian was the co-founder of Reddit and Serena Williams' husband. And this all started from some comments that Stephen A. Smith made in February of this year when it came down to the Super Bowl. So Serena Williams was not performing at the Super Bowl, but if you guys recall, Kendrick Lamar did the biggest, like most viewed at least, via YouTube, Super Bowl performance. And in the part where they're playing Not Like Us, you've got Serena Williams dancing. And she got a lot of criticism. She got some criticism because she was doing like a gang-related dance, and they were saying like gang members killed somebody that's close to her. She got criticism because, hey, that's like she's still obsessed with Drake. Or Kendrick brought her out because she was in a relationship with Drake and there were songs made after her, etc. But Stephen A. Smith gave his own comments, and I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
Knows her and Drake were together at one point in time. Right. And it seemed like everybody wanted to get their lick back on Drake.
RC's, what Stephen A. is saying, if he was in that situation and now he's married, he's not allowing none of that's happening.
Hold on, no.
That's what he said.
If I'm married, and my wife is going to join trolling her ex, go back to his, because clearly you don't belong with me. What you worried about him for and you with me?
I gotta get that lick back.
Go ahead, RC.
Stop it.
What?
Stop it, Stephen A.
This is true.
If you with Serena Williams, you gonna be a kept man anyway. Don't start that.
Really?
You ain't gonna run the house. You're not gonna wear the pants.
You know about that.
You sure about that?
Question?
Hold on.
RC's hilarious. He said you're going to be a kept man.
Ohanian. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Alex is doing pretty well. You know, he found Reddit. And he sold Reddit for a good chunk of change. I think he okay.
Yeah, he got.
Like I said, I know Alex.
Hold on. Dio got something to say. Dio got something to say. Go ahead, Dio. You got something to say?
Stop.
He's raising his hand. We got to hear from Dio.
I want to hear this one.
Well, I did not know that Serena dated Drake, so not everybody does, Shannon. Not surprisingly.
Oh my God.
But my question.
So here is Stephen A. Smith saying something that isn't crazy whatsoever. He's like, yeah, you know, if this was my wife, she would be getting sent back to the streets. Like, why are you so pressed? Or like you're still thinking about your ex like this, that you're willing to take shots back at him, which Drake has mentioned her before on tracks, but she's not a rapper. You don't have to mention him. You don't have to talk about him at all. So Stephen A. Smith did not say anything disrespectful here. She is a public figure. She was on the biggest stage in America. Everybody was watching it. And this was shots at the biggest beef in rap, in really music. So, and he commented on it. I don't think he said anything disrespectful. He didn't say her husband's a sucker. He just said, listen, that's not something that, like, clearly if you're still onto him, then hey, go back to him. Go deal with that. And Alexis Ohanian, her husband, seemed to have held on to that throughout the whole year. Another 8 months. He must have been fuming. Drake fans must have been up and down his feed. You know, they trolling the hell out of him. But he was on ESPN, and he had some comments for Stephen A. Smith. Keep in mind, this was on First Take. Stephen A. Smith was not even in the building. And I'm going to play you guys this clip right now.
Well, also, too, Stephen A. Smith, I think you had some marriage advice for me. Is that right? Or...
Well, you know what? Listen, I didn't. People, headlines are headlines. We can get into that another time. But I was hoping you were going to be here. No, I am not qualified. Married?
Right.
Oh no, not me.
Well,
I ain't qualified, my brother. I'm not qualified.
I was going to ask because you hadn't been married before, right?
I am married.
No, see. Okay. Yeah, because I give advice to plenty of founders who want to build billion-dollar companies, and the reason I do that is because I build billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
So I generally try to stay in my lane as advice
Then
department.
we'll talk marriage advice later. I'm
All
going 13 years strong. We got
Deal.
you. Alexis, thank you so much.
you.
Athlos NYC 2-night event in New York. Incredible. Can't
Thank
wait
you.
to watch. I'm looking for a Tiffany's crown. Appreciate you, Alexis.
Appreciate you.
Oh my goodness. Off rip. I'm just looking at this like I've never heard Stephen A. Smith. Nah, he does like he stutters steps. He doesn't stutter frequently. And I'm like, what is he stuttering about? And keep in mind, this is also another thing. Stephen A. Smith talks a lot. He's got a podcast. He's got like 15 different shows. He's doing interviews. This guy's a worker. So he probably doesn't remember exactly what he said. I don't even remember what I said last week. And I'm not Stephen A. Smith. I don't got that kind of output. I don't got that kind of work ethic. I don't got that kind of longevity, whatever it is. But this is the thing. Stephen A. Smith should be like, wait, what do you mean marriage advice? Because he comes out and says, oh no, I'm not qualified. Nah, he should be like, wait, what are you referencing? And let the guy talk. But no, he's just automatically stuttering, falling back when this guy is trying to press him. And this is the thing. With Stephen A. Smith, he was not even giving him marriage advice. He just said, hey, that is not for me. He never mentioned this guy's name. From what I saw in that clip, at least, I don't even think he knew who he was really before. This is another thing that's a bit, this is so snarky. This is how you can tell Drake is really under this guy's skin, because he's like, yeah, I give advice to people that build billion-dollar companies, and are you married? Okay, so why are you giving marriage advice? Well, after he had already said that he's not qualified to give marriage advice. But this is the whole thing. Maybe Stephen A. Smith isn't married because if being married means tolerating behavior like that, it's not something that he wants to deal with. Like, is that so crazy to think? No, apparently not for this guy, who's completely okay with that. The thing is, I don't think this guy Alexis Ohanian did anything wrong here. I'm not going to say this is what he's supposed to do, but he handled it properly. He played his cards as best as he could. And he embarrassed Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith was bumbling there. And Alexis Ohanian, the guy's not a speaker. He doesn't talk all day. The guy now, I think, like he said, he probably is somewhere in the tech field, talking to founders, whatever is going on in that bubble of the world. And he handled himself very well here. So I give him a round of applause for that. Granted, the fact that and this is the thing too. If Stephen A. Smith didn't completely fold immediately, fold like origami, fold like a lawn chair, just fold like, fold like the earmarks on the pages of a book, pages of a really good book. More earmarks you got, you already know that book's great. But it makes the book thicker, which gets a little bit annoying because it takes up more space on the bookshelf. Let's say you got 40 pages, right? Out of a 300-page book, you dog ear them, and now you've got, let's say 12, 15, maybe 12, I think 18 books on a bookshelf. Now those 18 books won't fit. Now you got to start off on another shelf, and yeah, it's just less space overall. I don't know why I went on that tangent, but circling back, Stephen A. Smith, he's the one that completely fumbled this situation. And this is the second time. So people tried to come for Stephen A. Smith, and we're going to get into that in a second, because he did have an altercation in person with LeBron James. But Stephen A. Smith responds to this situation that happened with Alexis Ohanian, and who's Serena Williams' husband, and I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
Glad that it didn't escalate or anything like that. He is her husband. He loves her dearly. They have 2 wonderful children together, and I have absolutely no issue with him whatsoever wanting to address that situation with me, because that's her husband, and I certainly meant no disrespect towards him at all. I was just saying that men, knowing us as men, if we're married and our wife is showing energy towards anybody else, even in a negative way, we're asking ourselves, if you're happy, why show that energy? That's it. But that's all it was. But I wasn't going to get into it on national television. I'm a professional. Now, if it had escalated and he wanted to get into it more, we'd kept the cameras rolling. I'd have said fine. But he was sitting there saying, you wasn't married, right? So, you give him marital advice. That's how he framed it. And he says, I give advice about building companies because that's what I do, essentially implying that I'm not married, so who am I to say something like that? I'm saying, paraphrasing. I think that's a fair comment on his part. I don't have to agree with it, but I took no offense to it, and if I had been in studio and that was something that he wanted to broach, I would have reiterated what I said, maybe in a more respectable manner than my initial reaction after Super Bowl Sunday when I was just having fun. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that I respect him. That's her husband. That's his wife. And Evidently, he didn't like what I said. I respect it, and I wish him and his wonderful wife, who I think is the GOAT, greatest tennis player, female tennis player of all time.
Well, why weren't you going to get into it on national television? That is what you're supposed to do. You're a professional. You don't think ESPN or wherever First Take is hosted, is it on ESPN now? You don't think they would have been elated for that back and forth? Dog, this was going nowhere. You weren't in person. This guy was never going to throw hands with you. Let's be real here. The guy would probably slip over the aglet on a loose piece of his shoelace while trying to get across the table to get to Stephen A. Smith anyway and roll over on the floor. Maybe the button on his suit jacket, on his blazer flies off as well. That's just how I imagine the interaction would be going. Yeah, the fact that even knowing what an aglet is from that Phineas Ferb episode. I think like they're like AGLET, like they had a whole song for it. But this wasn't even in person, so this couldn't even escalate to a point where ESPN would be upset about it. I'm a professional. Well, you were being a professional when you made the comments in the first place. Now you're just backing down and folding? Come on. We're not accepting these excuses. And he's talking about if he escalated. He did escalate it. He escalated it by bringing you up and be like, oh, you had marriage advice for me? That's an escalation. What was he supposed to do? Oh, yeah, stay down there? The way that he's going to confront you, he's not going to be like, oh, yeah, you're a sucker. You're a loser. He's not going to do that. He's going to be passive-aggressive about it. He's going to set you up to be embarrassed, and I wouldn't even say that's passive-aggressive what he did. He was quite confrontational about it. And he handled it well. Like I said, outplayed, outmaneuvered Stephen A. Smith. That's a fair comment. Come on, man. And then that's the thing. He's like, oh, if I had been in the studio, I would have reiterated what I said. So you're telling me that when you're far away, there's absolutely zero chance of a physical altercation happening. You start stuttering, stammering, forgetting your words, and don't say anything. But if you were there in person, then your energy would be more aggressive and you wouldn't be stuttering and you wouldn't be stammering and you'd reiterate what you said. Come on, man. Don't lie to us. We're not that dumb. We're a little dumb. Of course, we're not the brightest here, but we're not fools. Like, we saw what we saw. And then he starts glazing Serena Williams. Oh yeah, his wife, who I think is the GOAT, greatest female tennis player of all time. Okay, now you're just saying what we all. Nobody ever disputed that she wasn't the greatest female tennis player of all time. People just dispute when they say she's the greatest tennis player of all time. Get that nonsense out of here. What the hell? But an individual by the name of, who we've seen several times on this channel, Steven Jackson, responds to this situation with Stephen A. Smith. And he gives a couple of things that are a little bit inaccurate, but the gist of what he's saying is true. So I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
Come on, Stephen A., bro. You get loud and all in your feelings about Braun. When Braun, he talking to a black billionaire, but when he talking to a white billionaire, you humble. And you come back on your show talking real respectful, mild manner, man. Hey, bro, listen, bro. And you dogging the black women. Like, bro, let's stay out of politics and stick to talking about sports you never played. All right? Just stick to doing that, bro. We not going to vote for you if you talk. I heard you talking about running. You don't do that, bro. We not going to vote for you. No. We're not. But check this out, bro. Stop, bro, okay? You do not have the same energy for other people, but you got a lot of energy for Braun and black women and not everybody else. Well, stop it.
This is where he's incorrect. Stephen A. Smith, consistently, he's talking about LeBron as an athlete. So he's talking about his athletic performance. He has no reason to talk about this guy, Alexis Ohanian. Number one, Alexis Ohanian is not a billionaire. He sold Reddit, and Reddit was sold for, I think it was sold for like $10 million or something. And then I think he became an investor or something like that. But the guy's not worth $1 billion. LeBron is worth more than him. He's probably, I'm not saying the guy's broke, but he's probably worth maybe anywhere from 50 to 150 million, maybe 200 million. But definitely under 500. Like I said, that's not to knock this guy's achievements. Like he achieved something very, very big. The guy's impressive at least within what he achieved in his professional life. Now, his situation with all that's different. So that's one side of it. And then the comments that Stephen A. Smith made was about not Bryce James, but Bronny James. And it was about his performance as an NBA player and getting on the Lakers and the conversation about nepotism. And he was just commenting on Bronny James' game. And I covered this in the previous video, and he was not disrespectful. He did not say something disrespectful about the parenting of LeBron James. But what happened was they were courtside, and LeBron James walked up to Stephen A. Smith. And what did he do? He talked to Stephen A. Smith. People felt like he got pressed, whatever the case may be. Stephen A. Smith talked about it later the next morning. And what's funny enough is that Kevin Gates, Gates, who was talking about the relationship that LeBron James had with Savannah James, he pulled up with his quote-unquote wife at the time, 90-day fiance. They ran a 90-day marriage, him and, her name is escaping Brittany Renner. Of course, we can't forget about her. He pulled out there all of his chains, courtside, unbuttoned t-shirt, damn near shirtless, completely unbuttoned, button up. It's a button down. And he was just sitting there like, I'm waiting for this guy to say something. He didn't say a damn thing. And Kevin Gates was a lot more quote-unquote disrespectful, but he was saying like, I don't like how Savannah treats LeBron. He deserves a lot better treatment. He should be treated like the king. That's what he was saying. So Stephen A. Smith went on, and this is before the Kevin Gates situation happened. The morning after Stephen A. Smith got approached by LeBron in person, he apologized to LeBron James. He apologized to Bronny James, and he said he didn't want it to be taken that way. He wasn't talking about his fatherhood. That's how LeBron James took it. And I felt like he didn't need to apologize, but what Steven Jackson here is taking it is he was talking crazy. No, he apologized to LeBron James, which is not what he doled to Alexis Ohanian. He didn't apologize to Alexis Ohanian. He just said, hey, if I was in person, he just said he was trying to find excuses for not keeping the same energy, even digitally. Like, come on, it's a digital interview. But yeah, he apologized to LeBron, so he gave LeBron a lot more respect and a lot more grace than he gave this guy, Alexis Ohanian. So Steven Jackson he's misremembering. Maybe he saw some out of context clips, and that's what informed his opinion on Stephen A. Smith in regards to these two scenarios. But yeah, I think it's unfair to judge Stephen A. Smith like that and be like, nah, he was talking crazy to LeBron. Nah, he wasn't. Especially not after LeBron approached him. He apologized after that. And LeBron even told him, and LeBron is quite an understanding guy for that. He's like, listen, you can talk about my game, you can talk about me all I want, but don't talk about my son. Or I think he said also you can talk about my son's performance, but don't talk about like our relationship as like parenting or whatever. But here, this is two completely different instances, months apart, where Stephen A. Smith just shrivels up. And it's like, you can't take the trash talk serious when the trash talk doesn't even continue. And this is the thing. He wasn't even trash talking this dude. That's the part where I don't get why Stephen A. Smith can't stand on it, because he could just say, yeah, I wouldn't want that situation for myself. That's you, and I'm sure you're happy with that. And that's what I said for me. Are you going to tell me what I should have? He could have spun this so many different ways, because he didn't, like if he said, man, this guy's a loser. This guy's a C-U-C-K, right? Like, I can't believe this guy's white. That's why he's letting her do that. Like a black dude wouldn't let her do that, or whatever. Insert any other group of men into that scenario that aren't white. If he said something like that, then there would be more justification for him to be like, okay, like I felt bad. I understand why he came with this energy, but he didn't do that. Even the initial, and this is the thing. This guy, Alexis Ohanian, is not going to play around. I wish the conversation would have gotten to the point of, why did she do that? Because if he tries to play and say, oh, well, she was just showing love. Kendrick Lamar is one of her favorite artists. They're from LA, so she came out. And it's like, come on, dog. We're not stupid. Like, this is rap. And not only is this rap beef. And not only is this rap beef, this is rap beef between two elite rappers. So you're telling me a rapper like Kendrick Lamar that writes double entendres like it's nothing, you're telling me that he's going to have Serena Williams up there just because they're from LA, when there's so many other people from LA, and not the double meaning of the fact that she's from LA, she's dancing. It's the song that destroyed Drake in that beef, and she's previously had issues with Drake, dated him too. Come on, man. He wouldn't be able to play it off like that. So I think this is sad to see from Stephen A. Smith, man. Especially if he just came back the next day and didn't go on this rant about like, yeah, I would have had, if we were in person and he wanted to take it there. Take it where? What was left for him to do other than backhand you across the face and leave his ring finger mark across the top of your cheek? Have a little, a little shiner, a little shimmy on, like a little purple shimmy, a shiner right underneath your eye. That's all that was left for him to take it there. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all in the next one.